We're gonna wait this 15 seconds for them to do it. We already have our station right here ready. I already have a bowl of sunflower oil so I can dip my thing that I'm going to use to shape the cookies into balls already. And I'm going to dip it into the sunflower oil so it does not stick to the cooking dough. And so it's way easier to get off and get into the thingy and get onto the pan. So next we're going to add another, or the rest of the chocolate chips. However you did it, I'm going to add the rest because we didn't have a full bag of chocolate chips. We just had quite a little bit, but that is fine. We're going to make sure every bite has chocolate chips in it. And if you don't like the consistency, you can add more liquid, you can add more flour, you can add any ingredient that you think is good for these. I'm going to put it on again for the 30 seconds. If it's not, I'm going to put it on again, but first put it all the way down. And then we're going to wait till that's done. We already have everything situated. I have 2 trays that are sitting like baking trays where you could put pies, cakes, and all that stuff already over there in the other room. So then I can put the cookies there, but do not leave these cookies out for overnight because they will start to get hard fast. So before I go to bed every night, if I make cookies, I put them in container before I go to bed, so then they don't get hard and they stay chewy for quite a while. So we're just going to push all these down so it's all mixed in. And this, I'm put the lid on backwards, but that's alright. So I told you we may not need all that milk because we only needed a little bit, but I may add just a tiny bit, just so it is creamy in all areas of the cookie and is like a really good cookie. So after you're done, you're going to put it on this side of, you're going to put it in the middle, maybe wherever you want it to be, but then you might have to put flour or something on your hands, so then you can start mixing the dough with your hands, and so it does not stick to your hands. You're going to check with your hands that it does stick to your hands. I'm going to add just a little bit more milk and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of sunflower oil just so it's chewy. The sunflower oil does not come out too fast, so it's easy to pour just a little bit. Like my last sunflower oil, it came out really fast and it was hard to just pour just a tiny bit into it. We're going to mix that together now and hopefully it gets the right consistency, but like I said, you might need to put flour on your hands, like stick your hands in the flour, just so your hands don't stick to the cookie mix. And it's easier if you make the cookie dough not stick to the blender, because then it's way easier to get off the blade in the middle. I'm also using a plastic blade so that it does not cut the chocolate chips in half. I also use a plastic one for any type of cookies because then it's softer than a metal blade. The metal blade can not go well with this. And so it does look like the cookie mix is going to be a lot easier to pour out onto the parchment paper than it usually is. So you might have to get your spatula to help you dish out the dough, but it's a lot easier than anything else. I may only do a little bit, or I may do the whole thing. This does look a little sticky, that's sticking to each other, so I'm going to have to put flour on my hands. Once I go to, I may have to mix in some flour too, just so it's not so like sticky and so everything. You're going to pull this out. There's going to be cookie dough, but This is the part where you're going to start getting messy, but that's in any type of cooking, baking, whatever. You always are going to get messy no matter what. So you're going to dish it out of the bowl or blender that you are using, whatever you are using. And just try to get out most of it, because if you leave most of it in the blender or bowl, you will not have as many cookies as you want or expect. What I'm now going to do is wash my hands with soap and water just to get the cookie dough that got on my hands off my hands. And plus, always wash your hands while you're baking because it is more sanitary. And if you don't wash your hands, then yeah, it doesn't make it so sanitary as if you do wash your hands. So now what I'm going to do after my hands are dry, I'm going to stick my hand in flour. I'm going to have to bring the flour back over to the station so I can use the flour and stick my hands into the flour while I'm molding the dough and making it the right consistency for cookies. You will have to add a lot more flour than this, but I may have to add some flour to the top of this just so it doesn't stick to my hands. Just like that. And you're going to have to pat the flour everywhere, like get it everywhere. Yes, it will mix into the dough, and yes, it will make it less sticky once you start doing it. And yes, like I said, you will have to get a lot of flour on your hands. Maybe like rub your hands together to get the right amount of flour that you think you'll need to move this dough. Every area you start to flip over, yes, you'll need to start adding a lot more flour, but not too much, just so it doesn't stick to your hand. This is the problem that I had with my sugar cookies that I made last. They were sticking to my hands like crazy, but I did this flour trick and it worked perfectly. And if you need, you can even, if you go to certain stores, there is flavored extracts like strawberry, raspberry, lemon, mint, coconut, and more. And that I use with my sugar cookies. I made strawberry shortcake muffin cookies that look like little muffins and that were really good, like everybody said. So it's starting to work out with all the flour that I have on my hands and everywhere else. It is easier, yes, to have flour because oil may not work, but flour will. And like I'm working it together into the middle so then we get everywhere coated and it's not so sticky as it was before. You may need to work out the flour because it could be clumps in your flour, but if not, then just pour it out and pour it onto the dough like I'm doing right now.